Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Peg, and in today's video I've created 4 easy rustic farmhouse Christmas DIYs for you. If you're in the holiday spirit like I am and want to get some inspiration for your cozy Christmas decor, then keep watching. Now let's get crafting. Okay, let's jump right into it. I've got this 3-pack here of 21-inch paint sticks. They've got the little ruler on them. You can pick those up at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, wherever. And then I'm just going to take my little Gorilla wood glue here and glue all of them together. The back side is going to be the side with the ruler, so I don't have to worry about covering that up or anything. So I'm just going to wood glue these together, and then I'm gonna, for some added support, I'm gonna flip it over on the back, and then I'm gonna take some jumbo craft sticks that you can get at Walmart or Dollar Tree or wherever. You can get them just about anywhere. And then I'll take my little miter shears here and just kind of cut them in half, and then hot glue them to the back just for some extra added support and to make sure everything stays intact. And then once I get all of those pieces hot glued together, then we're gonna flip it over and get to painting. So the paint that I'm gonna be using for this is the Waverly Chalk Paint in Mineral. And I'm just gonna give the entire thing a really good coat. That wood just really soaked it up. It did really well, but you wanna make sure that you cover the little side edges and the top and the bottom edges. And like I said, I didn't do the back of it because I didn't wanna waste the paint and nobody's gonna see it. A lot of times, like if I thought you might be able to see the back of it, then I would go ahead and paint it, but I'm gonna actually use this piece to hang on the wall, so I didn't bother with it. Then I'm gonna take my Waverly Chalk paint in the color Elephant, and I'm gonna do some distressing over this sign because I want it super rustic and farmhouse looking, and to look like, you know, make it look like this is an old weathered board that I found in a pile of rubble or something. So I'm just gonna make sure that I do that until my eyes are happy, and when I get a little heavy-handed in some areas, I just take my little damp cloth there and kind of smooth some of that out. And yeah, I'm gonna do it until I think it looks the way that I want it, and then I'll be moving on to the next steps of this. Now we get to get started with doing the embellishing work. And oh, I'm so excited. I just got my little ladybug vacuum cleaner. You'll have to check those out if you don't have one. And then I'm going to take some jute twine here that you can get again from Dollar Tree, Walmart, wherever, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the back, wrap it around a couple of times to kind of fit in the grooves of the handles of the paint sticks, like you can see there. And then once I've got, you know, as much as I think looks good to cover that little section on there, I'm going to take my lighter and like burn those little fuzzies off. Plus, not only does it make it look neater by burning the fuzzies off, but it gives it a little bit different texture and color as well. So now I just printed out some letters out of Microsoft Word, and you know, flipped them over backwards because I don't have a Cricut or anything like that, so I actually have to trace mine on, and I've got my little graphite paper here that I'm tracing. And what you saw earlier, I was trying to decide if I wanted to use a window cling for the O because I'm spelling out the word joy, and you'll see later on I decided not to do that. So once I've got my J and my Y traced out here, I'm just using a Sharpie marker, just a plain old Sharpie marker. I thought I was gonna like try to outline it to make it easier for when I go to paint it. So I did a little outlining over that pencil just so it was a lot easier to see. And then once I got that done, I'm taking my Waverly Chalk paint and ink and then just a small fine brush, and I'm just gonna fill in the J and the Y. And then for the O, I'm going to be doing something. I decided not to, you know, go with the window cling. Like I said, I decided I wanted to make a messy bow for my letter O, if that makes sense. So then I've just got various pieces of ribbon here from Dollar Tree and Walmart, and I've cut them, I think they were like in 5-inch pieces, and I'm just doing a crisscross pattern here, just alternating all the different textures and styles that I have of the ribbon. And then I'm going to tie it together in the middle with a little piece of, it's like a really skinny piece of jute twine or rope. I'm not sure what you call it, but either way, you'll see that when I do that. So I just added some raffia in there. I hate raffia. It drives me crazy to work with it, but I absolutely love the look of it. So I added some of that in there too, and you'll see me here just fluffing it out. Like once I get it tied off in the back, I kind of fluff it out, and then I'm just gonna hot glue it to the center of the piece there to make the letter O. And I'm kind of in love with these messy bows. It's hard for me to do messy because I'm so OCD, but it really is super cute, gives a total different look to everything and a different vibe. So once I've got that all poofed out there and the way that I like it, I'm gonna go ahead and hot glue it down, and then you'll see that here. And then I was like, okay, it's missing something. What else does it possibly need? Like, it needs a little extra something. So then I remembered that I had this little jingle bell ball from, I don't know, another project. I don't know what it was. And I had painted it white, and it's been sitting in my stash because I don't throw anything away. Oh yeah, wait, first we're gonna add a little hanger on the back with just some jute rope. And so I'm just gonna hot glue that down. And I also add some little dots of hot glue at the bottom. That way when it's hanging, it doesn't like scratch on the wall. It's kind of like a little cushion. I like to do that with all my projects. Now we're at the little bell that I found. So I was like, you know what? It was already painted white. And I just did a little dry brushing with the excess that I had on my brush to kind of that mineral, and kind of dusted it with that and hot glued it to the center. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's kind of plain. Do I need to put some greenery in there? So I was playing around. I even splashed a little paint on the brushes or on the little greenery to see if I like that. And in the end, I decided that I didn't want the greenery on there at all. So here's the finished product. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you have added some greenery to it? And you know what? I still might. I haven't made up my mind yet, but as of right now, I kind of like it just the way it is. But who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind and add some of that greenery in there. Just let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you have added it, or would you not? Okay, moving on to project number 2. We're gonna make a believe sign here, and I'm gonna use some 2x4s, and I've cut them down into 7 different pieces. I've got 2 pieces cut at 4 inches each, 3 pieces cut at 5 inches each, and 2 pieces cut at 7 inches each. Whew, that is a tongue twister. Either way, we're gonna spell out the word believe, so let's get started. I got my inspiration from Dee over at She So Craftdee and Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. For this piece, except for mine are like completely different colors, I used the Waverly chalk paint in Agave, and I probably should have sanded these down really well, because they're like that cheap wood, like the cheapest 2x4 you can buy at Home Depot or whatever. And I should have sanded them down, but I wanted them to look super rustic, so I didn't. But in hindsight, I should have. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and spell out the word believe. I'm just going to freehand it with my pencil there, and then I'm going to take, I was trying to decide, I have these paint markers. One of them is in silver, and here you can see it show up, but in real life, like, it just wasn't dark enough for me, because I was like, no, I need a more contrast. It just kind of blended in a little too well for my liking. But before I completely abandon the silver paint marker, I wanted to do some dry brushing over it with the Waverly chalk paint in white, just to kind of see, you know, what is it going to look like? Is it going to disappear even more once I get the distressing on there with the white? So I went ahead and went over all the pieces. I went over the sides and the top. I didn't do the bottom, of course, with the dry brushing. But after I got it all dry brushed and kind of stood back and took a look at it, I was like, you know what? I think I need to I need to darken this up a bit. So I busted out the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and with a little teeny brush, just kind of like went over what I had already done with the silver paint marker. But as you'll notice, like I'm not trying to get it at like a super solid like black, like jet black. I was okay that it kind of like skipped a little bit because it just made it look worn and rustic. And that did it for me. I was like, okay, this is exactly what I was looking for. So I just went ahead and completed all of my letters. And I think this piece turned out pretty decent. In hindsight, I probably would have taken the time and not been lazy and went ahead and sanded down the wood, because like I said, it was like one of the cheaper pieces of wood you could get at Home Depot or Lowe's. So it was pretty rough, but that's okay. It turned out really rustic, and I'm in love with it. The camera doesn't really do it justice, and I don't have my house set up for Christmas yet, so it's not like in a spot where I can show y'all what it will look like truly look like with all of the other Christmas decorations that I have. But you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. And I like the fact that there's like, I didn't glue the wood together, so you can kind of play around with the placement of the different letters in the piece and put it in different spots in your house. I love it. I'm gonna keep it the way it is, and I would love to know what you think in the comments below. Moving on to number 3, I got this little piece at Walmart. It's just like the raw wood that you can get in the crafter section for like 97 or 98 cents. Gave it a quick little sand with the Dollar Tree sander, wiped it down with a damp cloth, and then dried it because now I'm going to take some Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm going to give the entire piece a good coat of this. My plan originally was to do a double-sided sign, and you'll see in the video that I only ended up doing one side of it for this video. But I am going to be doing the other side for a different project at a different time. So that I can keep going, I'm going to hit it with my little heat gun and set it to the side. Now I'm going to take these little letters that I also got. I think I got these from Walmart. They're in the crafters section, and I'm going to spell out the words "Let It Snow," and I'm going to paint those in the chalk paint, the Waverly chalk paint in agave. And you just want to make sure that you get all of the, you don't have to obviously paint the back piece, but just make sure you get all in all the little nooks and crannies of everything, so it doesn't, so you don't see that raw wood section, you know, once you get it glued onto the painted sign. So now I'm gonna paint all that, let it dry, and then I want to create a hanging piece on this. So I'm just gonna kind of like set out my letters, kind of get an idea of where kind of the center is. That way I can figure out where I want to drill some pilot holes on this piece, because my plan is to use just a simple piece of jute rope, no, not jute rope, jute cord, to string through this, and that's going to be my hanging piece. So I was trying to like find the center as best as I could, but it's not like exact, so I just kind of had to eyeball it and make sure that, you know, it was centered enough for me. We'll just say that. So then I'm going to take my little drill here and drill some pilot holes just big enough to where I can thread that jute cord. I always want to say jute rope. That's different. The jute cord through those little holes that I make. And then, so I wanted it to be like the longer, well, you'll just see. You can see me drill in the holes. And once I get those drilled, I'm going to use my little vacuum cleaner. I'm in love with this thing. I don't know how I lived without it before. It just helps keep all the dust and debris down when you're doing craft projects. It's cute. It's so cute. So now I'm going to do a little dry brushing on this with the Waverly Antique Wax. Just because I want to give it, I didn't want that stark white to, I mean, it looks great, you know, with the agave colors popping off of there, but I love farmhouse. I love rustic. I love everything rustic farmhouse. So why not? We're going to go ahead and make this piece rustic just like everything else in my house. And then I'm going to, I played with the letters just to see what it would look like on there. And I decided, okay, we're going to grab some Waverly chalk paint in the elephant color and add that to the distressing as well. It just needed a little more dimension to it, I thought. So I'm going to take my brush and just add some of that on there. And I do end up, I did go heavy-handed, obviously, in some spots. So I got a little bit of water, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I got out a baby wipe, and that like blends the colors perfectly. Like, I don't know what we ever did without baby wipes in the past. They're not just for babies, let's just say that. So then once I get that kind of smoothed over, I grab my letters. Oh, nope, just kidding. I grabbed the white chalk paint because I do remember now it was like, ooh, it needed a little, I needed to tone it down just a hair before I put those letters on there. So I did grab the white chalk paint and do a little bit of distressing, and then took my baby wipe again and really blended all of those colors together very well. Then once I was happy with it, I hit it with the heat gun tool so I could move along and get ready to get my letters glued on there. So I used hot glue to put the letters on there, and I probably should not have. I probably should have gone with some super glue. Sometimes the hot glue does really well, but I like to try to get it in a thin layer so that it doesn't like completely raise up the letters off of the piece. I want it to like kind of be flush with it. So you'll just see me centering the letters as best as I could. I know it can't be perfect. And then I'm going to just take my, I use the Gorilla glue sticks, the wood glue sticks, and it's like at a high temp and it works really, really well. But again, sometimes I don't like to use it because of the thickness of the glue when you put it on there. So I always try to get it in somewhat of a thinner layer. So that it's more flush with the piece that I'm working on. So after I got them all glued on, I thought, okay, those letters are super stark. And once again, I thought it needed a little bit more distressing. So I took the Waverly chalk paint in white and just did a super light coat, just like barely anything on my brush, and went over the letters. And it was really cool because it's, the sign says let it snow, but it actually kind of looked like there was like snow covering the letters. So it worked out perfect for me. And that definitely tied it all together. So the next thing I want to do, of course, after I do more dry brushing until I'm happy, is I wanted to it needed something. So I decided to take some of the jute, oh my goodness, here I go again, jute twine, you'll see what I'm doing. And I'm just running a bead of hot glue along the very edges. There's like a little indentation, engraved, beveled, I'm not sure what you call it, area on this piece. And I just took my hot glue and the twine, and I'm just going to go all the way around the piece. Twine, yeah, it's twine, with the jute twine, and get that glued in before I get ready to string the hanger piece through it. Now that I've got all that done, I'm going to take my lighter and run that along the edges of the twine just to burn off some of those little fuzzies. And again, it definitely gives it a different look and texture. So I love to do that whether my twine is super hairy and fuzzy or not. And now you'll see me going in. I just cut a piece. I kind of pre-measured to see, where I wanted these pieces. And I had to put a little piece of like a Scotch tape on the end of the twine so that I could like thread it through. And then once I got it threaded through, I like the knots tied in the front of the sign. So even when I do make this a double-sided sign, it's not really gonna matter. But like on the Let It Snow sign, you'll see that I like the little knots tied in the front. And I just make sure that's good and snug and secure. And then I like to burn the little edges of where I tied it off to, so it kind of like melts it together and won't come undone. But then it gives it that really like burnt vintage texture to it and just adds that little bit of extra character that it needed. Okay, so here's where things got a little crazy because I could not decide. I was like, this sign is so plain. I feel like it needs something. So a long time ago at the Target dollar spot, I found this whole pack of all these little fun glittery things. And I thought, oh, it's snowy. It needs a little something. So I grabbed my Mod Podge and I was just going to add a few little glitter pieces. Just here and there, not all over the entire thing. So I took the little silver glittery things. I was going to use the iridescent, but they didn't really show up. So I just kind of sprinkled just randomly these little glitter pieces, just to see if, that would add what I was looking for. And it was cute and all, but in the end, I ended up scraping that off too. I could not decide. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, what does this little guy need? Because it needed something. I just can't figure out what it is yet. Okay, so for project number 4, I found these 10-pack of chalkboard marker tags, whatever you want to call them, at Ross for $2.99, which I thought was an amazing deal. And what I did is I took 7 of them and wrote my family members' names on them because I'm going to make some Christmas ornaments with them. And the other 3 that were left over, I did one that says Noel, Snow, and Believe. And then I just wrote on them with pencil just because it was easier to get it all laid out, and that way when I was ready to use my Bistro chalk marker from Walmart, I could just go over it and then make sure the letters were right. And I mean, it is a chalk marker, so technically if you messed up, you could just erase it and redo it, but I'm kind of weird like that. And then I just did some different little variations of decorations on each little tag. And then I wanted to, what I did is I put some, not masking tape, Scotch tape over the ends of the little twine that was already on there so that I could put some beads on there. Those beads came from Walmart, that little pack of assorted different beads on there. And I was just kind of playing around and seeing what I liked, what pattern I liked for each one. And I did not do them all the same. I decided to put a different pattern on each one. And then you will see me here in a little bit take some of the gingham or black and white check, whatever you call it, ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And I cut each one of them into about 5-inch strips and then just tied a simple little tie at the bottom of each one of them just to give it a little bit of that rustic farmhouse look. And I think they turned out super adorable. I think these simple little decorations could go anywhere, on a Christmas tree, on a tiered tray, on a gift, a present for someone. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think they turned out adorable. If you enjoyed today's video, please give me a big thumbs up, share, and consider subscribing if you're not already part of the family. Don't forget to tap that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.